need to provide a written acknowledgement that they fully understand that the vehicle should only be used as part of an emergency response. These are people that are on a call 24-hour basis, and so, it's not something that,
Do you want to touch on that?
I've actually been aware of, so.
We actually just started, or we drafted that and got those signed. So we have it came out before.
But it's always been in the policy, or?
Yes.
The requirement has been. We didn't have an official form
Oh,
here at City Hall, so we went ahead and created one of those, and we've had those folks sign, and we're working on having the folks that get taxed on the take-home vehicle sign a different version as well, so that everybody agrees that they've read Chapter 27 and
Right.
know what they're being held to.
okay, great.
Dave, my concern is this. I don't want the Washougal Municipal Code to become like the California Educational Code, which occupies 5 feet of shelf space in small print. I like the Arizona approach, which is 7 pages in big bold-face print, and it covers the whole subject. I prefer the approach of allowing officials discretion and holding them accountable for their decisions, rather than trying to figure out everything that might be done and set up a policy for it. That's my concern.
So I think I'm hearing sort of the notion that at some point we bring this back for your consideration, maybe on consent at the next meeting to add this little language. Is that the consensus of the council? I saw Paul had a thumbs up.
Well, Jennifer, you want to review that. Does that preclude bringing back the piece that,
You know what,
the draft language?
possibly as a separate agenda bill, not on consent agenda, because it sounds like there might need to be more discussion. I would like to review it a little bit more.
And keep in mind, these are changes to our personnel policy for the most part, so it's not, like changes to our code where we've got to go through codify, go through a lot of different things.
So is this
as
an
every time you
ordinance
affect it, it does different
versus?
things.
It's
Policy.
It's a policy that you adopt, right? And as I think Jeanette was alluding to, one of her assignments is looking at policies. Another thing that we'd like to do is, in fact, Jennifer's looking at the financial policies. And then also, we're going to take a look parallel to and in conjunction with the committee, the council committee that's looking at the code, at the administrative provisions. And some things are in code, and maybe they could be in policy, or they're in policy and they should be in code. Or there's just some work to do on all of those. And
There's a lot of pieces.
sometimes it's good to collectively and holistically do that as together and not do little pieces unless there's something that's important. But we'll have this on the agenda next week as an agenda bill to change your policy. And if you have any questions during the week, just let me know. And we can always, if the council acted to do this piece, it doesn't foreclose you from, even over the next month or so, continuing to look at the overall auto policy as well, if you'd like.
Okay. Did you want to do the draft of the economic development RFP? How about if we email it out?
We'll email it out.
You'd like to
We
grab
have
that
a-
score?
Yes?
We have the working group that's been working on the joint Port and Camas and Washougal Economic Development Initiative is basically done with a draft of the RFP that will go out for the economic development services, the professional services that will be engaged by the Port on all of our behalves. So we have that. It's a draft. It's a draft, but the hope is that it will go out later this month. So we want to share that with you. And I failed to make copies. We finalized the draft, if you would, this morning. Email that out to you tomorrow so that you can take a look at that. It's pretty significant news. It's a big milestone for the working group to have gotten to that stage. And this partnership is very strong, and the Economic Development Initiative is moving forward.
Thank you. Council items, Dave?
Last summer, we had a Washougal resident that came before the Parks Board, and he proposed converting an unused or poorly used and poorly maintained tennis court into a pickleball court. Well, first of all, I had to find out what pickleball was. I had no idea. But Molly, I saw you down there. I think, Rod, you were there. Learned a lot about pickleball. One of the things I learned was that there's a National Association of Pickleball Players. They hold tournaments. And if you have a court, you can host a tournament, which fills up motels, brings business into restaurants, things like that. So this looks to me like an economic development project, and I was curious, is it going to come forward? Because for less than we spent on public art down on the Columbia, we could have a pickleball court. In fact, we could have, was it 4 or 8 of them?
4, I think we were
4
going
of
to
them? Which would allow us to host the tournaments for the region, I think he said.
Well, my recollection is that this individual, actually it was Mike and Ton Wolf, he actually went to a couple of businesses that do resurfacing, and his quote was about $50,000, which we all kind of like
Is that for
step
one
back.
court?
No, that's for the
Oh.
whole thing. I mean, that's for the quad complex, the 4.
To build it all.
Yeah, to actually resurface all of that, so it would be adequate, great for pickleball. And he did send an email to, I can forward that to anybody who would like to see that, but he was gonna look at some less costly, because frankly, the parks budget has been slashed, and there is no money in there for that kind of a project. There just isn't.
We have one tennis court now or 2 up at Hathaway?
Upper Hathaway, I believe
Just
it's,
Four
I think it's
or
just
eight?
No.
one.
What? Aren't there 2 tennis courts up there?
Upper
Hathaway?
Hathaway, 28
Are they side by side?
Yeah, side by
Yeah.
side.
Okay, so that's where we get the 4
Oh, okay.
courts, or, yeah.
And the one tennis court, the back half of it does have a lot of damage, to the surface. So it would take some pretty major work.
When I was a kid, that was old,
Yeah.
so.
Long time.
So-
In
but
fact, it
I'll-
wasn't even
I'll-
part of Hathaway Park back then.
I'll dig up that email, Dave, and I'll send that out, because
I
I'm pretty
appreciate
sure because the numbers sort of floored all of us. The Parks Board was willing to run with that project. Everybody loved it. And then the reality of what the cost would be to resurface just kind of hit us all, so.
I'd like to see if there's other money available beyond the parks budget, because this is an economic development issue too. It's a recreation issue, it's a health issue, get
I
people
mean, I
off
like
the
it
couch.
too. The time that we were all out there playing, there's a small basketball court right next to it, and you could see the kids playing basketball, teens, they would stop and look and say, like,
What are you
what's
doing?"
going on there? And people walking by, so it does generate a lot of interest. And I know that the Wolves were interested in not so much community ed, but in just going out and doing educational and maybe sort of like a little training sessions and